Hey there, Swarmers. Great to have you back in the hive and reconnect with you all. We hope that you are doing super well on your path to being your most sustainable self. Today, we're looking at global climate trends. Earth's climate is now changing at an unprecedented rate, largely due to human activities. Scientists agree that if carbon emissions continue unchecked, global temperatures will rise by several degrees Celsius by the year 2100. This increase will bring significant risks to human society and natural ecosystems on local, regional and global scales. Already, climate change has caused a variety of impacts across every region on the planet and has affected numerous economic sectors. Here's some fast facts related specifically to global temperature anomalies. 2023 was the warmest calendar year on Earth since 1850, exceeding the previous record set in 2016 by a clear margin. In fact, every day in 2023 had a global average temperature more than 1 degree C higher than pre-industrial levels. And nearly 50% of days had a temperature more than 1.5 degrees C higher than pre-industrial levels, compared to the previous record-setting calendar year of 2016, when only 20% of days beat 1.5 degrees Celsius warmer than pre-industrial levels. 2 days in 2023 were in fact more than 2 degrees warmer than pre-industrial levels. That's the first time that that's ever happened. The last 9 years have included all 9 of the warmest ever observed since instrumental recording began. None of the Earth's surface had an annual record low in 2023. About 17% of the Earth's surface set a new local record for the warmest annual average. This includes 23% of the land surface and 14% of the ocean surface. Particularly extreme conditions were observed over Central and South America, parts of Asia and the North Atlantic. Locations with record warm averages are home to approximately 2.3 billion people, including particularly large population centres in Asia. The rate of warming since 1982 is more than 3 times as fast, 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade. But it didn't stop in 2023. April 2024 was the 11th consecutive month of record global temperatures and the 13th month in a row of record sea temperatures. Oh, and the hottest April ever recorded. June 2024 ranked the warmest on record by 1.56 degrees Celsius in the Northern Hemisphere. And in Western Antarctica, it was 3 degrees Celsius above average. There is a 59% chance that 2024 will set a new record for the warmest year ever. If not the hottest, it will certainly be in the top 5. Sobering, confronting, and undeniable. The planet is getting hotter and wetter in all the wrong places. Let's talk precipitation. This is a more challenging type of weather to record and analyse, but there's been improvements in the tools used and the subsequent trends noted over more recent years are considered to be accurate. Launched in 2014, the GPM, Global Precipitation Measurement Core Observatory Satellite, is the anchor in this constellation of satellites collecting precipitation data as part of the GPM mission. On board is an advanced active radar instrument called the Dual Frequency Precipitation Radar, or DPR, which measures liquid and frozen water. Precipitation data from this core satellite are used to calibrate data from other satellites, such as the Swrm NPP satellite, the joint NASA NOAA Swrm National Polar Orbiting Partnership. So all of that means that with an increased level of accuracy, it can be reported that in recent years, a larger percentage of precipitation has come in the form of intense single-day events, predominantly rainstorms and rain bombs. The prevalence of extreme single-day precipitation events remained fairly steady between 1910 and the 1980s, but has risen substantially since. So it stands then that looking at our world in data reports of natural disaster events, the number of reported floods increased from 39 in 1980 to 166 in 2023. The term flood is used here as a general term for the overflow of water from a stream channel onto normally dry land in the floodplain, riverine flooding, higher than normal levels along the coast, coastal flooding, and in lakes or reservoirs, as well as ponding of water at or near the point where rain fell, or called flash flooding. Wet mass movements also increased from 4 events in 1980 to 24 events in 2024. A wet mass movement occurs when heavy rain or rapid ice or snowmelt sends large amounts of vegetation, mud or rock down a slope driven by gravity. And again, this is confronting data. And on the face of it, data which seems contradictory to the next trend that we'll discuss, the increasing prevalence of droughts. However, the two are far more related than you might think. There's even a term for how closely an extreme rain event is followed by a drought and vice versa, weather whiplash. Researchers looked at 1,056 events from 2002 to 2021 observed from the Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment satellites, GRACE. These satellites employ precise measurements of Earth's gravity field to identify water storage anomalies, comparing the amount of water stored in soils, aquifers, lakes, rivers, snow cover and ice to typical levels. The team found undeniable increasing frequency and severity in both extreme rain and droughts. And the prediction is that they will continue to worsen, more frequent, more severe, lasting longer, and covering more ground. While drought events outnumbered intense rain events by 10%, their geographic extents and how long they lasted were similar. Together, these events account for 20% of the economic loss experienced by extreme weather events in the US every year. The correlation between higher temperatures and drought is fairly obvious. More evaporation, reducing surface water, and drying out vegetation and soil. But something perhaps lesser known is that this also causes a vicious cycle, or more technically speaking, a positive feedback loop. Where there is less vegetation, there is less ability to reflect heat, so the ground absorbs it. This causes a high pressure system to form, which further suppresses rainfall and increases temperatures. Let's have some fast facts now related to drought. 15 to 20% of China's population face more frequent and severe droughts within this century. 70% of cereal crops in the Mediterranean were affected by drought damage in 2016 to 2018. An area the size of Italy and Poland combined was affected by drought in 2022, more than 4 times the area impacted by drought in the previous 20 years. In the Horn of Africa, December 2022, there were 22 million people considered to have been suffering from food insecurity on account of drought. These numbers are staggering. So we have a confirmed pattern of increasing global average temperatures, increasing frequency and intensity of rain events and droughts. What about storms? Well, while it cannot be claimed with scientific backing that the frequency of hurricanes is increasing due to climate change and specifically global warming, there is absolutely scientific evidence that the climate crisis is causing the severity of hurricanes to increase. At this point, it's worth noting that depending on where you live, hurricanes might be called something different. Tropical cyclones is what they're referred to in the South Pacific and Indian Ocean. Typhoons in the western North Pacific around the Philippines, Japan and China, and hurricanes in the North Atlantic Ocean and eastern North Pacific. Scientists refer to them as tropical cyclones, so shall we. Research from 2023 reports that over the last 50 years, the rate at which hurricanes have formed and increased their ferocity has increased. From 2001 to 2020, Atlantic tropical cyclones intensified 28.7% faster than in the same time period, 1971 to 1990. The number of times a storm has developed from a Category 1 to a Category 3 or greater in 24 hours more than doubled in the 20 years of 2001 to 2020 compared to 1971 to 1990. In fact, in those same 2 20-year brackets, only 13 storms grew from storm to major hurricane in a 36-hour period in the 70s and 80s, but 49 went through the intensification in the latter 20 years. Both the rain and the wind are the elements of a tropical cyclone which are intensifying. But so is the deadliest part of a tropical cyclone. Due in part to sea level rise and in part to the fiercer winds, storm surges are getting more severe. That term refers to the wall of water which comes to shore with the winds in a tsunami-like manner, sometimes increasing water levels by 30 feet or more. We're going to explore tropical cyclones in more detail soon, so watch out for that video coming up. Suffice to say though, for the purposes of this video fulfilling the brief, the trend is that tropical cyclones are increasing in severity and the speed at which they develop and strengthen. As we've seen, global climate trends are more than just statistics. They're the story of our planet's future. The changes we're experiencing now will shape the world for generations to come. But here's the powerful truth. We have the ability to make a difference. Every action counts, from reducing our own carbon footprint to supporting sustainable initiatives and advocating for strong climate policies. It's time to step up and be the change we want to see. Join us in this crucial fight against climate change. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, share, like, do all the things. Oh, and hit the bell so you never miss when we release one. Thank you again for joining us today, Swrmers, and thank you for being awesome. Stay healthy, stay safe, and stay sustainable.